Hello, I'm Kemal. Is it too loud when I talk like this? No? Okay. I'm Kemal. I'm very happy to be here. It is so great to have a tool which does all the stuff in one place that I used to program each aspect before. And now it is, I'm so thankful to JetBrains. And since yesterday, I know it started 2002, and I wished I would have realized much earlier and could have made a lot of effort less. So I want to thank also to Dr. Alexander Völling from Materna, who introduced me to MPS, and also, of course, to all the Itemist guys who are helping us at the project we are currently fulfilling. And yeah. Okay, let's start. I want to talk today about the continuous integration with MPS and Maven, because in our project we had this problem: how do we do it in a closed area? Then the customer doesn't allow us to use tools other than the ones that are provisioned, and that means we can't use Gradle or other stuff to get from anywhere in the internet any source code or jar file and execute it in the closed area. So we had to consider the toolings that they had, and Maven was their top tool, and they have as CI the Jenkins machine that builds all the time, nightly, and integrates, and also you can create own Jenkins jobs. But I think for a limited time we have to have some trouble to get our jobs created sometime in the near future. So the generated artifacts from the MPS models are used in the customer role in our project. So we are the guys who do the development of the DSLs on behalf of the customers. They tell us what they need. We try to get the objectives and try to make everything smoothly integrate and deliver them in a continuous way. For this, Maven helps us a lot because we can deliver from the artifact repository they have. And yes, what is Maven? Maven means accumulator of knowledge. I think it's Hebrew, and it has been created some time ago, and it's constantly growing, and it has this ability to enable you to manage dependencies in your project and rely on others who deliver and reuse. And also Maven is has the philosophy of don't talk too much, don't write too much, just use the defaults as far as you can go. And that's very useful. I think if you want to have a reading, you can do it in the internet quite well. The typical Maven project consists of a main POM, which is the project object model, which holds the main identifiers, group ID, artifact ID, and a version. And of course, you need packaging type and all that stuff. I'm quite sure that most of you have worked with Maven and the project object model, so I don't want to bore you. You can go more into the depths of Maven easily. And in case there are some problems, just write an email to me. Okay, and now in our projects we have to package the DSLs, and usually we have only the build DSL, and this DSL is quite major and gives us handling with ARNT. And fortunately there's a Maven to ARNT bridge, so we can call ARNT scripts from Maven. And this was the first step that we used. We had a build XML which was quite big, calling all the dependencies and building it, but it was more of our luck than knowledge. So we had a monolithic way of building all the DSLs, and it would take ages, and you couldn't stop it somewhere, or you couldn't just build a certain path. So we could in the end do the first rounds without any other help, and then we could assemble our stuff, and then how do we upload them to the repository was the question. We didn't know that newer ARNT targets exist, so you can upload, but Maven we knew that has the capability to upload. So we had a huge Maven file with just using a plugin to deploy the artifacts into the Nexus. So in the end we decided that with the increasing number of DSLs, the dependencies and the namings are very difficult to keep up to date. So we thought, how do we make everything fine in the repository, and how do we more granularly tell what to build and when. And so we had to go deeper into Maven and learn about the life cycles. So there's a clean life cycle, which just concentrates on cleaning. The default life cycle concentrates from everything to start being able to compile, to package, test, deploy, and then there's some documentational life cycle, which is called site, that produces some documentation about the tests that probably were invoked, and some website documentation. So we could go into each one, but these are quite clear. There's a clean and initialize that we use at the moment to install MPS, generate sources to create source files from the models in the project. Compile will be used by our customers because we compile in MPS. Our customers do it with Maven because they have different compilers in place. The package is used in our perspective in the created POM files that I'm going to talk about. Install is locally deploying the artifacts to the repository, and in the end, the deploy one that goes to the remote artifact repository. So the dependencies that divide into normal dependencies that you need to do your compilation or running things. That means they will provide a kind of the class path that is needed to compile and create the resources and all that. And there are the plugin dependencies. The plugin dependencies are those dependencies that are not needed by your project, but by the plugins that you use. So this is important for us because we create the plugin that can install all needed languages that we create at the customer role later on. So they just need to know what they need as languages, and then they can create their POM file, and then they can use what is there. So now let's have a look at the plugin here. It's not that easy from here. Sorry. The plugin consists of just a couple of Java classes. They are quite easily written, and as a little packaging stuff, because we use another Maven version. Here's a red line. Eclipse uses 3.3.9, and I use 3.5.2. So if you want to have a look into the base implementation, it's usually you start up with an abstract module that you extend, and you have your properties that you want to be able to assign in the POM, and then you're fine. So I want to show you, where is that one? Wait. I have to go to the right, to the left. Take this one. I want to show you one, how you use it. There it is. Right? No, that's not it. That's 1 point. So let's move this to the left, right? Okay. So this is a POM a user would usually create to be able to use our facility. You would have a plugin management section where you, if you want to create for all subsequent modules the usage of that plugin, but then you can later on in the execution department, where this starts here, create the configuration. You tell him which MPS you want to use. Thanks to Artemis, there's a Nexus publicly available. There we get the MPS version as a zip file. That is unpacked to the target folder. There's a directory which can contain some additional files in your project that you want to copy into the config directory. There's the idea config system path. There's another option which is doing the plugin section, so you can decide where your plugins go to, other than the ones that MPS brings along. So you have them separated. And then you have the target Java version and if it should compile or not. So on Windows, people wanted to have the shortcut on their desktop, so this is also available. And as an example, I created a sample project which is quite empty, and we use org IATS3 open source for the how's it called? IATF? Kernel F, right. Thank you very much. For the kernel F functionalities that you can use. And there are some executions. You remember the phases from the life cycles. There's for the clean, we have introduced the removal of the plugins that you can install here. That is quite handy if you want to update your plugins. Maybe some are lacking other files, and if they are then still there after the update, it's a bad issue. So clean does that. You can also clean MPS, use the clean MPS goal that removes also MPS from your hard drive or wherever you wanted to put it. Initialize installs it all, and the generate sources is that one that with the help of Sergey's first tool, MPS generate plugin, I could write that one that produces just the sources from the model in that project, or from solutions and models in that project. So this is that one. Let's move that away. We could now have a look at the customer role we just had together, right? And so the next question is, when we all, you all have created different versions of your software for different purposes. So for testing, one version, and with different dependencies, and just to test out if it's feasible to go with MPS 2017-5 or 2018, and for making this quite easy on the CI, there's a friendly version they call CI friendly version of the Maven. Usually you have to configure the version numbers statically in the POM files. With this extension, you are able to use dynamically the $revision, which then can be passed from command line or from the call as parameter, and will be taken. So you can use this to via all things that you need. There's 3 parameters, and you can use them as you like, and you end up having a flexible build for different targets, for different issues. So after you have enabled yourself to have a CI-friendly Maven usage, you surely want to do your development in feature branches. Feature branches were quite easy with normal text-oriented editors, but it's quite dangerous if you are using MPS, because some developers might not have the state that they can take a migration that you prepared, and they can become quite unhappy, and sometimes there is no way to implement other than to implement it anew, because the merge will never be successful. So there must be some kind of interaction between your developers to tell each others, hey, migration is coming up, be careful, please update now, and then keep cool, and now take the migration steps and execute them, and then now you can go on like this. And if you synchronize this, you can have a better life and more successful builds. And if you have this feature branch thing going on, then it will be much easier for you to integrate into a stable developer branch, because each feature branch you can build by its own, and you can automate also the build project creations on Jenkins. And for this, you should have a thinking about application lifecycle management, configuration, so you can have a expectation on the next MPS languages that might come up, because I'm very eager to create one if none of you is creating one. That should include something that gives you access to your Java or whatever you use. This should include a component model, or a model that can encapsulate all your products, so you can create your dependencies. And that should also give you the ability to plan features that you want to implement, so you can create tasks for these, like create a workspace to work on that feature and use that Jenkins or whatever you have for integration to execute the builds. And maybe also you want to enable yourself to automatically deploy to a testing facility, or even further, like you do at the workday, to the customer directly. Thank you very much. Any questions? Well, I was hoping that someone would ask this. So I created a little plugin that's called MPS build plugin for Maven, that enables you to use a build plugin in your build script, and then you can configure a Maven property. That means you want that property to be transferred from your properties into the ANT call, because the ANT call is quite capsulated. It doesn't take any bad properties with it. So then, excuse me, it looks clumsy, but I just tried to mimic a little bit the XML behavior. So you have here the group ID, artifact ID, and all that stuff. From the parent POM, you can create one or reference one. And then you have additional dependencies other than those in the dependencies part here. If you have Maven plugin build scripts, they will be automatically created as dependencies. And modules, I didn't allow modules now for the target POM, but for the parent POMs, you are able to create any number of modules. So we can have a look at the parent POM. There should be the module for the MPS build plugin for Maven. Yes, there it is. And you can provide properties here. I had a hard time to decide if I should go here with macros or with just text values. I decided for now with text values. And here you have another section where you can define other plugins and in plugin management, and also executions in the plugins section. Also, you might want to run tests automatically that you create with your unit tests that you have in your test module somewhere. And yeah, it's quite handy. It gives you some POM files. There's one, and the other one is hiding. No. Yeah, it's hiding. That's the one created for the language. It looks quite the same, besides for the targets that are inserted, calling the build XML and supplying with the needed things. So if you have a zip in the build layout, it will attach it in the package phase to your POM. So you have a artifact that you can install or upload to the Nexus. Yeah. More in depth? At the moment, yes. You have to create a POM for each. So you have a build script. You add the yeah, that's going to come. It's not there. Sorry. I will do it. I need it. So if you have special requirements, just tell me. I'm going to publish this one soon to GitHub, and then we can work together. What did you? Not yet. It's going to be. I hope that Sergey will have a big impact on it. So. Yes. I wanted to show today the deployment, so you can see it, that we can start MPS just from the command line. But unfortunately, it was my first time command lining MPS on Mac OS, so I failed. Sorry. Another question? Nice. Okay, thank you very much.